Hi, this video is about the Gemini. My disclaimer, I keep forgetting to say my disclaimer in each video, but this is based on how I see personally, how I understand astrology, and based on the people that I have in my life. I haven't actually read an astrology book, so it is based on patterns and how the people in my life and them possessing these traits that show up in these patterns in these people. So it is how I understand it. So it may not be normally what you would read in an astrology book. But the Gemini is the third sign of the zodiac. It is an air sign, so air representing intellect and communication or articulation. It is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the planet for communication and interaction and what we take out of it, and our learning with what we take out of communicating. It is the glyph of the Gemini is the twins, or the Roman numeral 2, where it stands side by side, and that's represents them quite a bit, where it is based on, there is a dual nature. So I did mention in other videos that I believe that there is a polarity with all signs, but from different perspectives. So it's different from one sign to the next. With the Gemini, it is more, in itself. Like, for example, a Scorpio could have the pendulum will swing one and the other, where it could be death and life. In that aspect, a Pisces could be more of, in terms of like another spiritual place to hear. I believe with the Gemini, it's within the twins that it is one and the other, so within the mind. It is a thinker. So their ability to be able to see the opposite or another perspective is like so fast, because air is fast, air is quick. I don't think there is a faster sign when it comes to intellect, and they will come up with like the witty remarks and the ability to be able to articulate what they need to say in a witty way, and I don't think people, like, it'll be interesting watching Gemini's debate, if anything, because they're so good at it. They do retain information quite a bit, and they do go through things quite early, and I think it comes with their ability to be able to understand things like so quickly, like understand the other. I mean, we all eventually understand one and then the other, but some are a little bit slower than the others, right? Whereas I think presented to a Gemini anything, and they can instantly see the opposite. And I think this alone gives them a bit of more of an understanding at an earlier age, having this ability, and they, understanding things at a younger age would probably set them apart, because they'd be so deep at such a young age, and they go through things earlier than everybody else. They go through struggles and troubles earlier than everybody else. And I think when I do look at the Gemini, they can come across a little bit condescending when they talk to others, but I think I don't think it's intentional at all. I think it's more so because they've gone through it. I think in that moment, as a reflex, they might do it assuming, because they've gone through it, they kind of think that, or the brain process says that you should know it too. But I think in that moment they just forget that they go through things earlier than other people. And I think they do set themselves apart because they know they're a little bit different, or they are a bit wiser in some sense. They do talk a lot, being the planet of communication. They're chatterboxes, right? I think the worst thing you can do to a Gemini is ignore them, or not listen when they're talking, or say that you don't understand what they're talking about. But I think the Geminis in my life, they've given me reality checks, if anything. They've made me stronger as well. So they are very opinionated with what they believe in, because they've gone through it early, right? And so they're very expressive as well. You probably find Gemini at a pub making everybody sober through telling stories, etc., or talking about life. And I personally, I love that, because I think that anyone that gives, I lack air signs in my chart, so I think that's why I admire them so much, and their ability to be able to articulate what they need to say in such little words, because I'm a rambler. I go around in circles to get my point out, and it doesn't do it quite well. And they could say like a couple of words, and it's like, wow, that was really well said in one go. And it took them no effort at all. I think that's awesome, because, in this place, words get you far, right? Words are powerful, extremely powerful, and they can talk their way out of anything, really. And that's their ability. They're clever like that because they're so quick with the way they think. And when you bring air into this place, air isn't just about intellect. It's about fast ideas and their curiosity and being able to think, and the cleverness. It's kind of cool. They're versatile, and they are adaptable. They're curious, but very, very witty, if anything, inventive, because I think the amount of information they have and the quick ideas, it kind of swells in their head, and I think they get it out by talking. I think they can debate or reason through anything, so I think that's like a tremendous ability that a Gemini has. They can be a little bit scatterbrained, where there is a dual nature where they do see one and the other, and they might go, oh, this is a really bad analogy, but they could, if they're deciding what to wear, they could decide this, and then they think about that, and then there's pros and cons with each another. They could sway backwards and forwards. If they think too much, I think they can be a little bit indecisive if they get lost in bouncing backwards and forwards like a ping pong ball. And it can lack concentration of anything. I think the more they talk, they could talk and then go around in circles, because like air, it kind of swirls around in their head until they get it out, and they retain a lot of information. It is a logical sign. Air is logical, but with air, I think with the Gemini, it is based on opinions as well, because they do go through things early in life, and they do base it on. I think Geminis kind of put themselves apart, like they're a little bit. It sounds negative, but a little bit tragic, but not in a bad way. Where they've always seen themselves as a little bit more wiser, a little bit more ahead of other people, understand a bit more, and they could take in people that are a little bit more naive or a little bit more younger to teach them and guide them, because they have a lot to teach. They know quite a bit, and if it's a Gemini that doesn't quite understand themselves or accept themselves yet, they could burst, though, because they've always been so different and they kind of set themselves apart from everybody else. But I think that's their choice that they do that. But I think it's because they're misunderstood, if anything, and people don't understand them. Like I said, they can come across quite condescending, but they don't mean it. It's just they have good intentions. They want to help people, if anything. And I think it's hard because their main ability is through words, right? Words. If they can master, I think Geminis, if they can master, words I see as more of a logical side because it's more left brain, right? Emotions are more right brain. If they can master the ability to be able to, use words and connect it with heart, go backwards and forwards with the heart side, then they can do great things. They can encourage, they can, push, they can inspire people with just words alone, because words are that powerful, right? But otherwise, if they haven't mastered that yet, then and this could be depending on the combination that they may sound a little bit harsh and a little bit brash when they use the words, because words are a bit, harsh, right? Unless you choose the right ones. Otherwise, you can connections through heart and feelings and stuff. So that's something that can happen. I think the Geminis I know, they're quite. I think the younger ones, they're a bit more misunderstood, where they set themselves apart and they put themselves away from other people because they think that they're so different, and it's a little bit a bit miserable with that, because they kind of go, I'm so different, why aren't people there? And then they get bored anyway with people, because if they don't interest you, or you have nothing for them to teach or banter with, I don't think that they are interested in. If they get bored, they're kind of out of there. because it's hard to contain air. Air is always on the go. It's always flowing. It's always blowing, right? Um, but I think, like I said, I think Geminis have, made me strong. The people in my life have kind of, because being a Scorpio, it depends on your sign, but they kind of, with their opinions, it's so strong, and they kind of push you to have, deep opinions and actually think it through before you have one, because they'll question it. Because they come from such a deep understanding already, like so fast, that, if you like someone, they might question why, just to see if you have, a deep understanding of it, and that's cool. I think it made me stronger. If anything, they opened me up to a lot of things in the world where I probably needed to face, if anything, the real world. And I like the ability to be able to do that. But they are, if the third being, they say one's like the mother, or the father, and two's like the mother, the sensitive mother, and three's like the child, the creative, expressive child, where they can be a little bit unstructured, but their ability and talent is to be able to express and to be fun and a good time, entertainer. That just, I think Geminis are awesome, because I admire their ability to talk so much, because they can say the right things at the right time, and I could just go blah, 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 and say the wrong things. Whereas, they're so quick. I wish I was that quick. And that's what, I think that's awesome about a Gemini, and I kind of need more of them in my life, if anything. Maybe my vocab will expand or something. Maybe I'll retain some words. But, nah, Geminis are awesome.